understand it, Tim, believe me, I understand how that works. There's something wrong or flawed with the way you're doing it, for you to end up with a car with only 80,000 miles. Now, I don't know how you got out of rotation or schedule, whatever you did, but something happened.
Correct.
Because that car should have 160,000 or 180,000, whatever it is you normally get. Why are we stuck with this car now with 80,000 miles, and the town paid $8,000 or $10,000 to have a study done saying, you guys don't need all that equipment? Now, what's going on?
The reason why we have that car, Oscar, in that condition is because of that study. That study put us into it,
Okay.
you gonna hear me out?
I'm listening, believe me.
That study put us into a place where we're now getting rid of cars. If we use the system that we used to have, which we have been, okay, now they take vehicles out of my fleet. We're getting rid of cars quicker. There's an adjustment that's taking place right now. We ended up with a good vehicle. That's how it is. And what I'm saying is, this is a viable car that I'd like to keep.
This
Because
last
it is.
car you got, was this bought out of sequence or something because it was a Crown Vic and it was the last time you could get one, or?
No,
No.
if I may, I think the confusion that we're gonna have, Oscar, it may be an adjustment with our budgetary process, but when it was set up that we were gonna buy 2 cars 1 year, 1 car, that was on the premise that we had an 8-car fleet. Now we're down to a 6-car fleet, so if you stay with that same rotation, we're gonna find that we're gonna have these cars with these low mileage.
Okay, so every time we have one, we're gonna keep
They
it?
may, well,
No.
not necessarily, but we may be in a situation where we either buy less cars, or we rotate cars, and we get more value for those cars when we sell them. So it's a learning curve that we're still working with.
Why don't we buy less cars?
Well,
And keep this one?
It's too late.
I'm sorry.
I think that's maybe what he's saying. If you allow him to retain this car that's already paid for, that's a good vehicle, it may allow him not to buy one car now down the road in the next cycle, which is gonna save us money. I'll let the man keep a good car, wouldn't you?
Makes common sense.
It's
Is
just
that what
common
you're saying? Because
sense.
I don't think that's what he's saying.
I didn't think that's what he said, but that makes sense, what he just said.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you had a good, if he can utilize a spare to allow his other vehicles to last longer or whatever.
You guys need to make a motion and second for you to retain this cruiser and provide us the direction we need to edit
Can I have one question?
If this is gonna keep us from buying another car,
Let's not do that as a motion. We don't know that. You know, I think what he's asking now is if the car has 80,000 miles on it, and whether he would like to retain it, and he's looking for your approval to retain it. Now, whether it's going to in the future, as I described, I think we're gonna find out as this flushes out. And,
If I don't need to buy 2 cars, I'm not going to buy 2 cars.
Thank
That's where
you.
we're at. That's where we're at right now. We're in a transition period where my fleet's been readjusted through the main chiefs, okay, and we're playing catch-up at this point. I have to adjust our purchasing policy, which is what we're in the process of now. What I've ended up with as a result of all these changes is a car that is in good condition that we're gonna sell for $3,500 or whatever we might get for it. I'm saying that we can utilize that car at the police department. I'm asking for that, that's all. If I come back to you and ask for 2 cars next year, I would expect that you ask me, do we need them? And I should be able to tell you either yes or no, and if I can't, then you shouldn't have me here. But I'm certainly not gonna go out and say, hey, I just want 2 cars because I want 2 cars. I'm realistic like you people are.
okay, I'll move that we, allow me to keep this car with 80,000 miles on it. Because to me, as far as the police car is concerned, it's not that much mileage. And
Then why did you buy a car this year? Why didn't you look at that and say, Jesus, okay, we've got a car with low mileage, even though you've got it in your program to buy one, why didn't we say, look at this, we've got a perfectly good car?
But that has nothing to do with selling this one for $3,500.
I understand it, but if we hadn't bought enough, if we hadn't bought one this year, then we'd still be using the one.
Oscar, I've had cars at 80,000 miles that I wouldn't put my family in,
I
okay?
understand
This
that.
happens to be a good car.
But you tell me the average mileage on those cars is 150, 160,000 miles, so we're barely halfway there. Why did you get a car 2 months ago when you had a car with that little mileage in it?
We've never had cars at 160, 180,000 miles.
No, 100.
We've always got rid of, I think the highest one we ever got rid of was 130.
30.
Well,
So,
10 years?
What year is that car?
It was 2008.
we have a motion to keep the car, but no second.
This is the first time somebody's said that.
Motion doesn't pass. We'll get a second.
Just for clarification purposes in my own mind, this coming year,
Yeah.
you're scheduled to purchase how many vehicles?
Two.
I will have funding for 2 at this point.
Well, you'll have 7 in his
That's
fleet.
providing that the budget is passed in the budget year, not 2010, not 2011, but for 2011 and 12, right?
Correct.
Right, part of the whole process, when you begin to look at the budgets and decide what we're going to utilize, the chief and I were gonna have the opportunity to look at our capital programs to see if they need to be modified. If they do, then we'll come back with a different proposal. If they don't, we'll explain that they're not gonna be modified and what we're planning on doing. So, I think for this particular discussion, I don't think we should be talking about what if may happen. I think what we need to decide here this evening, and I believe we have, is, because we have no second, is what we want to do with this car. Unless there's further discussion on the board, I would say that we just move on and we'll do what we need to do with it next week.
Well, under the circumstances, I'm inclined to agree with you, Tim, that this vehicle, as you say, is in reasonably good condition. If that eliminates the purchase of a vehicle, then are you prepared to accept that as a recommendation in the budget process?
If I don't need 2 cars, I'm not gonna recommend that we budget for 2 cars. That's my responsibility as your police chief. I wanna evaluate my fleet, and if I don't need 2 cars, and like I've tried to explain here tonight, we're in a transition. I'm going to have to look at the big picture. We've come from an old system to a different system, and there's been an adjustment. A result of that adjustment is this car here tonight. When I come to you for this budget, I'm gonna have evaluated my fleet. If I don't need 2 cars, I'm certainly not gonna ask you for 2 cars. I don't look for ways to make my budget bigger. I don't.
I guess-
Is this the
is that-
oldest
But
car?
there's no guarantee of that.
What's that?
There's no guarantee of that.
I guess what I'm
Yes, it
saying
would
though
be.
is
That's the oldest car.
this is something that you could live with. If we accept this car as part of the fleet, and then you purchase a single car. And this, I realize, this is prior to budgetary,
Mhm.
but it's also, you have to look ahead a little bit.
I understand.
And as far as I'm concerned, I would second that motion to retain this vehicle, but be prepared to only have enough funds for a single vehicle. Is that reasonable?
It is very reasonable.
I
Make
would
that
second
part of
that.
the motion.
I'm sorry?
Make that part of the
It would
motion.
have to be part of the motion.
No, part of the motion is just that he
No,
retain
we'll
the vehicle.
deal with the motion when it comes time for budget. He'll come in with his recommendations, and at that point, we'll make the determination whether you buy one or 2. That's part of the budget process. This is not.
But we go back to 6 vehicles?
We would then go back to 6.
But then he had 2 cars he'd have to get rid of next year.
No,
Yes.
But he's not
No,
gonna
you
get
get
it if
some
he gets
now.
this.
he doesn't buy one.
He's scheduled to get 2 next year. He's got 7 right now if he keeps this one. So next year he'll have 9.
No, they're saying not to budget for
He is,
vehicles.
they may not budget it, but his capital improvement account, he's got it figured out, he said, 1 and 2. 1 year, you get 1, and next year you get 2.
But Oscar, that,
But we can change that, Oscar.
that's not
I
capital.
mean, that's fine.
You don't have to spend the money. just-
That's right.
But that's why they bought the car this time, he said, because that's the new schedule. That's what I'm saying, he was looking at his car, which had X number of miles on it, yet he went out and ordered another car because he was allowed to. So now he's got 7 cars, and next year he's due to get 2 more. So that means next year he has to get 3 damn cars. He's gonna go right back to where he had a lot of vehicles that he doesn't need, or he may need or want, I don't know.
Unless he only buys one, Oscar.
Yeah, but then he still has an extra one already.
Well, I think he just.
So he'd have
maybe
8
to
instead of
keep that
6.
He might retire one of the other ones
Now
though.
is
He's
spare.
retired 2 of them.
Well, I know, but if,
We need to move this on.
Just a spare, Oscar.
Do all the other cars have less than 80,000
Yes, they
that are
do.
newer? Okay.
What are we gonna do with this motion? Do we now have a second to the motion?
Yep,
Bob, make the motion again.
Bob, second.
I move that we allow him to retain this vehicle with 80,000 miles on it.
And I second that.
2008 Ford Crown Vic.
I wasn't gonna vote for it, but.
With no guarantee that we're cutting back next year.
Well, we can't guarantee that now because
Gives you a
we know
chance
what's
to.
going to be like. We can do it at the budget time.
Right, that will be starting pretty soon.
I'm gonna come in with egg on my face if I come in and ask you for 2 new cars. You know that. You know
You're
what I
not
mean?
gonna get it, Timmy.
I know.
But if that's the oldest vehicle and it's got the most mileage, then by the end of next year, there should be another 1 or 2 good cars. Maybe you won't need any new ones next year.
That's a possibility.
You have a motion on the floor, if that's seconded, I think it's time for a vote.
All in favor?
I'm gonna vote. I wasn't gonna vote for the car, I was gonna vote for the officer, but
Opposed?
not the car.
Opposed?
I'm afraid.
boy, get your bids in, folks.
Thank you, guys.
Don't save the town no money, keep spending.
Again, we did it.
I don't believe it.
Get your bids in.
So now you'll buy 2 vehicles.
I don't believe it.
What's that petition at?
I am Chief. I'll be in touch with you probably tomorrow, try to work out something.
Anything else?
I never finished high school, I understood it better than you people.
Sell that cop.
Yeah, if I may, at your last business meeting on the 4th, we had a proposal for you to sign a warrant that we neglected to sign. So, and that warrant was going to be for an open special town meeting to accept some funds from the state in terms of criminal case that the Borough Police Department was on, and we were gonna accept those funds. Because you didn't sign it, I had to push everything back. So what I would like to have you do, I provided a warrant to be signed. If you sign it tonight, it would mean that we would have an open special town meeting at your business meeting on November 1st to allow the taxpayers to provide us approval to accept these funds.
Let's do it before the state decides.
So, what I need is for you guys to approve that warrant and sign it.
I know it is down the
Motion
hall.
and second would be great.
Then I move that we sign the warrant for November 1st to accept $9,000 some odd dollars.
All in favor? Thanks. Now you can sign it.
Good night,
For the public, remember, this is a new procedure, we never used to have to do that.
I always come down here and get cheered up.
This is new this year, right?
Yes.
Now I don't beat my wife up.
No, it's, we used to be able to accept it. It's like we used to be able to just accept it.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, for the police, but you couldn't for the fire department. I remember when they wanted to buy that first Hummer from the state surplus, we had to vote to accept that.
Right, the change in the legislation is that the legislative body has to provide approval on the drug fund. That's the change.
Okay, next item, we're gonna revisit the abatements from last meeting.
Yeah, I provided,
Where are they?
find them, excuse me. Yeah, there were 3 abatements that you folks, I don't know whether, I don't think they were clear enough for you to make a decision on. The first 2 were on Tyler Lane, and I bring them back forward. I had the assessors take a look at the
Is there another signature we had on there?
I went in and talked to the assessor, and I went and looked at the map that the planning board looked at for subdivision, and those 2 lots were not part of the subdivision, so that doesn't become a problem. And the man was billed for the entire parcel, including those 2 lots also, and then they billed the 2 lots separately in addition. So it's justified in an abatement for those 2.
correct.
I believe we accept the rate.
Accept abatement on, we have 2 on Tyler Lane, R18 lot 13-6 and R18 lot 13-15.
You had one dash 16.
Second double tax.
Yes, 16. We have a motion and a second to accept both of them.
What, 13 and 15?
It's
13
R18
and
lot
16.
13, 15, and 13, 16. I have them right here, I'll pass them around.
Okay.
I got pictures. We got copies of them right here.
Oh, 13 and 16, okay.
Who seconded that? Was that you, Joe? Okay.
We haven't voted yet.
Nope. I'll get a motion second. You vote for it? Pass them around, you can sign them. Sign them on the granted. Finally, the personal property piece. Again, they clarified the exact date in which the personal property was sold. It was sold prior to April 1st. That's why the personal property abatement is being requested. If the property isn't here as of April 1st of any tax year, it doesn't get taxed. So I would recommend that you approve personal property account 731.
But it still doesn't, July of 2010.
Yeah, Mike said it was his error because he had put 2011. That
He
was
had
the
put
big
2010
screw up.
on the April 1st.
Right. Now,
It's actually 2011. So the property was sold prior to April 1st,
Right.
2011,
right,
and abatement is,
I move
It's
to accept the
justified.
abatement.
Another $2,000 out of that.
I got a motion to accept the abatement. Do I have a second?
second.
Discussion? All in favor?
thank you. That takes care of those.
Anything else, Keith?
No.
Public comment?
I was gonna ask Keith if, on that thing for the South Berwick, they already have like mutual aid already, what would that make it different? If the 2 departments shared each other, don't they already do that?
We do under the mutual aid agreements, but this would be more of a, if we're able to figure out all the details, we're gonna be more of a solidified process of use of personnel, where our vision was initially, and we need to talk to the chiefs about it, where officers from both departments could simultaneously be able to assist and patrol in each town if in fact there was a need to do it and a financial constraint would allow it to happen. So that was what so it'd be more of an enhanced interlocal agreement.
No, we have been a personal property
that answer your question? Sorry about that.
I don't get it. I think it's already there, myself.
I understand his question. If you're sharing guys, what happens when you call mutual aid? If you're
Yeah,
already
'cause
sharing a guy?
If he's short a guy already,
Right. If the idea is to reduce the position,
and
The issue is, I think that the large issue that I'm looking at, and I think that's why we need the chief's input, is that right now, between 14,000 population, we have almost 20 police officers. Is there really a need for 20 police officers within that type of population? I mean, there's geographic issues that need to be addressed, there are all the other things that the chief described tonight. Again, we're just looking at it preliminary, and it may not go anywhere, but then again, we may be able to provide some savings to both communities in the way that we provide those types of services.
he makes a good point though, because if you start cutting back services, but if you look at how many times you actually have both departments out on similar calls.
Yeah,
And you
going
cut
back
back,
to your advisory group, if you have, on a midnight shift, is there really a need to have 4 police officers out? 2 from us, 2 from them, plus
have
a shift supervisor, so that gives you 5, maybe 6?
Do you listen to Stan? Because the answer would be often, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, we're just looking at, trying to look at regional solutions
Right.
to problems.
But that
That's
is a
all.
dynamic, Freddie raised a good point, that's a good, that's a.
And I think it's something
Another
that certainly
dynamic.
will be raised by the chiefs, but I think it would be,
I know what you're trying to cut back, but I don't.
we're just trying to,
Yeah.
we're just trying to find ways that we can save money to provide the same services.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but if we don't even try, shame on us.
But you say that there's 20 between the two towns?
I'm just using that as an example.
That'd be a
I'm
lot.
holding anything.
We'd have good coverage.
Like the city of Dover, how many police officers do they have? Can you take a population here and you can bring it up almost to, like, the 3 Berwicks and, I don't know, Lebanon, we throw into that or not, but, you know, because I don't know how many police
Lebanon
officers they have, I have no
Lebanon
idea.
has
There's no police
Lebanon
over
has
there.
York County.
Huh?
Okay, any other comment?
Lebanon has York County.
Oh, well, tell me about it.
No.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
My next car's gonna